What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitzburg Squad. I'm Wesley Seeley, joined with Shane Smith. Shane, Steelers lose to the Ravens here, division matchup, and we fall short 16-14.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it was. So a lot to take away from this game. I feel like it's a lot to unpack. Offensively, defensively, there's a lot to talk about in this one. So
Just quick, wasn't your original score prediction 23-16?
yeah, either that or 23-17, 23-16, 23-17. It was one of those. Maybe yours was 23-16.
No, I think I let them. Well, maybe 24-16. I was
Maybe.
gonna say because
We were
if
right
there
there.
wasn't some red zone picks and the one field goal would have went, we could have scored
Red zone
23.
picks? Tell me about it.
Really? Yeah, I've never heard of those before. So, anyways, let's hop into our offense.
Hop right into it. Hop, skip, and jump because we're so happy.
It was very stagnant.
Yeah.
It was a weird stagnant.
Yeah, I was going to say, fill people in on what happened, I guess, to start this
So-
flipping game off.
Yeah, first series. I don't remember if we went 3 and out or if we. No, Kenny ran for at least a first down. And then it was a third down. Nobody decided to block Patrick Queen. Kenny makes a miraculous job at breaking the tackle, running out, and then Roquan comes flying up and absolutely obliterates him. Kenny comes back in, 3 and out, goes back out. Lo and behold, his head's been rocked and he's got a concussion. So
That whole series was kind of weird. Like, you saw the hit by Roquan Smith. Kind of did like one of those slam down kind of tackles. Wasn't just a normal tackle.
which to me should have been a foul, but that's a completely different thing.
Agreed. Slams him down, and you knew, like, when he slammed him down, it didn't look good. And then he gets up, and he kind of looked like he was just shaken up, and I didn't know if it was leg, didn't know if it was his head at that point. I'm like, oh, great, here we go.
Yep.
Yeah,
already.
then he comes back in, I think, the next series,
Yep.
and we're just like,
Clears
oh,
the concussion
yeah,
protocol.
Yeah, they said he cleared it. We were like, oh, okay, maybe
Very Tua-esque.
maybe it was just a hard hit, and he's just, shaking it off there. Yeah. And then it was like that drive after, here comes Mitch, and we're like, where's Kenny? What's going on with Kenny? And then,
Yep.
they end up coming out saying we had to take him out for the concussion
Yeah, so
protocol.
I don't know if Kenny reported symptoms after the fact or if people just seen he was a little weird, a little sluggish, not 100%, and was like, okay, you've already had one this year, bud. Let's
Yeah.
get you taken care of. I'm not sure. When Mitch came in, he looked pretty solid, and I
Yeah.
would say for the most part, from 20 to 20, he actually looked decent.
Yeah.
Like, he was kind of slinging the rock, not being afraid of things. He was kind of he knew he had nothing to lose, which I liked.
Well,
but
in
then-
that first drive. The
Yeah.
first drive, I think he went right down the field and we scored on, right?
Yep.
So it was like, Mitch looks good. And he
Yeah.
threw that long ball to Pickens.
Long
We're just
ball.
like,
Yep.
and you even texted me, you were like, Mitch looks good. I was like, yeah, dude, what the heck's up with Mitch? He looks
He looks
solid.
great. And it's like, it was nice to see somebody just going out carefree and saying, you know what, I have nothing to lose anyways. Let's just sling it. But then it was like, when we tried to utilize the middle of the field, which we never do, it came back to haunt us.
And specifically on their end of the field. When we
Yeah.
were down in the red zone. Or
in the
down-
red zone to where it's like, okay, if we can come away with 3, the game's still in hand to where we can just either catch up at that point, because we were down, I believe when we were going into the red zone, we were down 13-7. And
Yeah, it might
so
have
it was
been.
like, okay, if we just get 3 here and then we get 3 there, like, we can just keep whittling away, and we can try to do it. And it was super weird because, like, okay, yeah, we're doing good. Boom, pick. And
Yeah.
now the first pick, I was like, man, that was a heck of a play by Roquan. And whether Muth ran a wrong route or was it Sims?
Yeah, that's what
ran a
we
wrong
saw.
route.
What Trey Essex said on Twitter. They ran like the same. They ran in the same direction.
Yeah, they
so,
should
like,
not have been in the same area, which, I mean, honestly, it was Humphrey that was on Muth, and he cut
was
across
open.
and he was wide. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a perfect spot. And I don't know if Trubisky was like, okay, there's no way that Roquan can get this, or Sims is supposed to be cutting out.
I know. It's like
And so I'm not sure. And Roquan made a pretty good snag. It wasn't just right to him. It was a pretty good snag, but
I
it
know.
killed the drive.
yeah.
Then we get the ball back, and I don't think they got any points. And we drive right down the field again, and we're like, perfect. We can get some points right before halftime.
This was right before half. Yep.
And wouldn't you know, the announcers jinxed it, and boom, right down the middle, right to Muth, and Patrick Queen makes a heck of a grab. Like,
even a better snag.
yeah, he went up there, grabbed it, because he, again, was behind Muth. It was the right read, just it needed to be probably 6 inches higher. Like, exactly. And so it was like, man. And so it was good spots for Mitch, followed by some frustration, because it's like, what are you doing?
Well, I think that's like what everybody would say about Mitch is like he can make the throws that you're just like, okay, solid quarterback. That's why he's first round pick. Then he makes the boneheaded throws, and you're just like, okay, that's why he's been on so many teams. That's why he's back up, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
The first pick to Roquan where they said, Trey Essex tweeted out that those two guys are running the same routes, are basically in the same area. It's like, isn't this week 13, week 14? Like,
right.
How are we still doing that at this point? You know what I mean? That's the frustrating part to me, if that it actually is true. If Sims was running the wrong route, or Freiermuth, which I'm sure it would probably be Sims out of the mix because Freiermuth's the starter.
Right.
If they
I'd like to ask Canada.
What
be
the
like,
heck?
Be like, did you design this, Canada?
Yeah, literally. I think he just, this guy go here, draw it up. Oh, this guy go here. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Just throw it somewhere in the middle. It'll work.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating. And then, the one Patrick Queen intercepted is really frustrating because you're thinking, okay, he just threw a pick the drive before. They drive right back down the field. Okay, now you can make up for your miss the first time. And then also it was right before half, and we're getting the ball after half too. So it's like, get at least 3 here, hopefully 7, but 3 here, and then you get the ball after half, and then you can hopefully do something with it there too. And I don't think we did with either.
No, because I believe after half is whenever we took the long ball, which I was okay with trying the long ball. I just wanted it executed better because there was only 2 receivers running routes. It was Deontay Johnson, and I'm not even sure who else. And we threw it to the left, but it was still in the end zone to where the safety was able to just hoof it.
I mean, he was right there.
Beat him. I mean, it needed to be more to the left to where DJ got it or it was out of bounds, and there was no chance of getting a pick onto it. To cap Trubisky's 3rd interception of the day, which was his last. So kudos for correcting that, but it was just like, okay.
Too little, too late at that point.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, okay, we could have gotten at least 2 field goals. We could be at 16-13 at that point, I believe. Or, well, probably 13-13 going into half. Then we had the ball. Who knows what we would have did on that. And then I think they went down and scored again. That was the last time they scored. And so it was like, come on. Like, our running game was pretty stagnant. Like, Najee kind of looked like by Najee to where he just wasn't running very well. And honestly, I don't know if you'd agree, but when Jaylen Warren was in, Jaylen Warren again looked stout.
Yeah, he looked good.
It was like he was catching like these checkdowns that shouldn't have turned into anything, and he was breaking it or like just shooting straight up.
That's what I was going to say. He looked good as a receiving back.
And even a couple of runs where he was like going outside, he'd push a little harder and stuff, and it's like, something wrong with Naj? Is he just gassed? Like, I'm not sure what's going on. Our offense doesn't seem to want to get Pickens involved all of a sudden, which makes no sense to me. It was almost like we were trying to force it to DJ all day, which is frustrating to see because, I mean, in my opinion, we overpaid DJ, and Pickens is way overperformed him, and I feel like even when we do utilize Pickens, it's like, okay, you're just good for straight shot, throw it deep. Like, we don't ever try any other thing with him.
I know.
It's kind of frustrating.
I don't know if he's not getting like separation on the slants and shorter routes. I don't know. I don't really know what the route trees, I guess, look like for him. But geez, it's not very many targets other than those go balls. And there is no good way to sugarcoat a turnover, but like, because even I was just gonna say, like, even if you would turn it over in your own end, like, is that worse than turning over in their end? I don't know. It just seems like more of a backbreaker when you drive the whole length of the field and put a drive together, and then you're turning over when you're down inside their red zone or close to the red zone there. So those were backbreakers. And like you said, too, it's just you're still misutilizing Pickens for some reason. Can't seem to find the hot hand, and the running game just I didn't feel like got going at all today. Like their defense is a stout defense, so they did their thing, stopped the run against us. DJ had a couple good catches, but still is going backwards after the catch too. It's like, dude, what are we doing? Pat did his thing, but sloppy game for the offense overall, in my opinion. I don't think I don't think there's anybody, maybe Pickens, that would earn any sort of like kudos. I mean, Jaylen Warren, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, on his brief stuff, it was definitely a day where you shot yourselves in the foot. And granted, the Ravens' defense is no joke, but I feel like from 20 to 20, we were exploiting them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like at that point, if for some reason from 20 and on, like 20 to the touchdown, you can't get in, just run the ball and just have them hold the rock to get 3 at that point.
Yeah.
Like just, because in the second half, they were down to their third string, quarterback. And so it's like, come on, you gotta use your head a little bit, use your nog, and don't try to force too many things. And
Yep.
I feel like we were just trying to be too cute with it. And
I know. Well, that's what I was thinking that too when you were explaining the long throw of Trubisky when you had this third interception. It's like, man, you had the first one, then you had the second, and then you're like, at that point, you would think like, not that you want Trubisky to play scared, but you wanted to play a little bit more safe at that point. It's like, okay, I've already turned it over twice, and both were in the red zone or darn close to the red zone. I can't give this thing up again. Like, if somebody else wants to make a mistake, sure, but it's not going to be me. It's just like, for him to make that third pick and, like, really didn't have a shot, in my opinion. Like, DJ did not even have a shot at that ball. If it was single coverage, like, that makes more sense. You have a 50-50 chance with him. But safety over the top like that, it was bad placement, like you said, bad decision overall to throw it. So, offensive grade for this one?
I mean, we scored 14 points, and one of them was 2.5 minutes left in the game. D-.
Yeah, I'll go D, I guess.
Who's your LVP?
I guess I got to go Mitch. I mean, he's an easy one for me to pick, so I'm going to go Mitch. I honestly hate to say it, but I think it cost us the game overall. I don't think if it was Kenny in there, I think we would have had a different outcome.
Yeah, Kenny still hasn't turned the ball over since the bye, and so that definitely makes a difference. That's why we've been looking a lot better, and we have no idea whether he's going to play next week or not. Mine will go, even though he led us in receiving, I'm going to go Deontay, because I think he could have had more yards, and he could have did maybe a little bit more instead of backing us up sometimes if out of his 6 catches, 5 of them he didn't run backwards.
I know.
If you just catch the ball and push yourself forward, that makes a difference. Like, it's almost like he's afraid of getting hit.
Yeah.
And you know what? We pay you $18.5 million. Go out there and get hit. You're making some money. I think too much money. Quit being a little baby, like, just to put it bluntly.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so
he's not looked super great this year, that's for sure.
Nope.
Speaking of not super great, let's go to our defense.
Whoa! Defense, let's see. There's a positive on our defense. We stopped the pass.
We allowed 16 points.
We did hold them under 20.
I know, you're right. I guess, all things considered, I guess you stopped the pass, but in that same sentiment, it's like it was against Huntley and Anthony Brown for another half. Like, who is Anthony Brown? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
they threw it a total of 17 times.
Yeah,
hopefully we stopped the pass.
Yeah, so Huntley starts the game, and we've played against Tyler Huntley before, so we kind of knew what to expect with him. He gets injured right before half, I think it was, and then Anthony Brown, I think, came in the second half. And he started the second half. Like I said, I think they said he came from Oregon. I don't know where he came from. Anyways, first NFL snaps was against us here, and he threw it 5 times, completed 3 of them, 16 yards. So, and Huntley only threw for 88 yards. So prior to that, they didn't even throw for hardly 100 yards there.
Right.
And yeah, they just were. Their offense is grind and
run the ball. And their entire offense was, if we run it to the left, we get stopped. If we want to run it to the right, we're getting 6, 7, 8 yards a carry. So what'd they do? They ran it to the right, and we did absolutely nothing to stop it. And when you knew that they were ahead near the end of the game, and you knew all they were going to do was run, there was never a question that they were going to throw the ball with Anthony Brown. And we're seriously like, I don't know how to stop it, guys. There's like 2 guys that are really good at blocking 2 players. Maybe we should stack this side of the field a little bit more. Didn't do any of it. Like, because you can't tell me if Harbaugh would have called a run and then all of a sudden say, Cam Sutton was over there guarding Deshaun Jackson, and he comes over to block this and leaves him wide open. That Anthony Brown's going to be able to be like, no, I'm going to call an on. He's not going to be allowed to do that. Like,
yeah,
I don't care. Like you're an undrafted rookie
like,
quarterback. Like, there's no way. And so it's like, come on, guys. Like, use your brains a little bit. Austin, quit being an idiot. And like,
I felt like they were getting like out muscled too.
They 100% were. It just
they almost knew the run was coming sometimes, and it was just like, get out of the way. We're running the ball.
And it was basically our front four was getting out muscled, and then our linebackers like Miles Jack and Devin Bush just weren't really doing a whole heck of a lot. I feel like it was more Kazee or Mink or Edmonds that were having to come in and do that.
Well, you're talking about J.K. Dobbins, 8-yard average, 15 for 120.
Yep.
Gus Edwards, 13 for 66, 5.1 average. Like, that's insane. Then you have Huntley and some other guys fill in the mix there, but over 200 yards rushing. But mostly with those top two guys I just named, Edwards and Dobbins, like, they ran the rock, and they ran it a ton. 15 carries, 13 carries, 9 for Huntley. Like, they ran it they ran it 42 times for the whole team.
Yep.
And you knew they were going to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And we had said too, like, you got to stop this team. You got to make them one-dimensional. And we thought it was going to be with Huntley, but geez, we didn't know we were going to have to prepare a second half for Joe Schmo here.
Which I feel like always screws us. Even if it could be the worst person, it could be Johnny Manziel coming back.
I know.
And we would find a way to lose it because we didn't plan for the backup quarterback in case. Like, it just, unfortunately, it's a Steelers thing that's just held tri and true for many a years now. And I mean, just to push on how many tackles Mink and Edmonds had to do, out of 42 rushes and 17 passes where 11 were completed, and 3 of the rushes being kneel down. So a total of 50 plays total ran, all in all. Edmonds and Fitz accounted for 20 tackles.
Wow. That's 50 snaps or whatever it was.
That's 40%.
That's crazy.
And most of that was runs. I mean, they probably ran it 80% of the time. So that means that more often than not, our third tier was having to make that stop. It's unacceptable.
Right, yeah. You're getting gashed in the run all game long. I wouldn't say you stopped the pass, but they just didn't pass it that much.
Right.
And then you didn't do anything. You didn't get any turnovers. Like, I think Kenyon Drake, somebody popped the ball out of his hand at one point in the game, and TJ almost had it. Yep. And then they said both teams had possession, so they gave it to the offense.
Yep. And then there was the blown fourth down, where technically they gave it to Huntley for the fumble, but it was a bobbled snap where Duvernay was running across and popped out, and we didn't get that. I mean, we just don't get fumbles this year.
So there's three lost turnovers, and then there's none gained, so you're -3 in turnover differential. That's basically a recipe for a loss there.
And when you only lose by 2 points.
I know. That's a huge – and this is like – I'm kind of going off track here a little bit, but this is going back to, like, I told you, this feels a lot like the Patriots game this year. It feels a lot like the Jets game earlier this year. It was not so much like the team beat you. You just beat yourself in this matchup.
Yep.
Ugly look, man. Ugly loss, too. Okay, so back to defense. Defense got gashed, too. I'm going with a solid for my grade. I'm going with a solid, rock solid D-.
Wow, okay. I wasn't sure if I was going to go all the way to F or not. We got no turnovers. Our offense didn't help us. We held them under 20, but I think all along we knew that they were going to be low scoring. No Lamar. Huntley in. Huntley was 1-3 as a starter. And then you play his backup. There's no excuse to not win this game and your defense not to take over. Not to stop the run and make a rookie pass or whatever. So, yeah, I'd have to agree with you. D-, F+, somewhere in that tier.
I'd maybe go up to a D, like, to keep it level with my offensive grade. I guess I was just going a little bit lower than my offensive grade, only because, like, it's kind of like what you said. It's like from everything that transpired in this game of having the third string quarterback, you already had the second string, but third string comes in there. You don't get any turnovers. 1 sack, maybe.
I can tell you.
Maybe 2.
We got 2 sacks.
2 sacks, okay. No turnovers.
I don't even know who got the second.
Couldn't stop the run when you knew that was coming. And then, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, all your money's in that defense, so you expect that defense to do a little bit more than what they do. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Maybe that's not justifiable, but that's what I'm sticking with. So
I'd agree. Who's your LVP?
LVP.
It's hard to pin it just on one person.
I know, it really is. I know we've kind of generalized it before, either offensive line or something like that. So I guess I'll go like just defensive line rather than going to a specific person, because maybe it's not completely fair, but all of them really sucked and nobody really front 7, defensive line, whatever you want to say. I guess just like nobody did their thing. I mean, you're telling me both safeties came up and got 20 combined tackles. That's not good.
Yeah,
it's not a good thing.
That's rough. Many people may not like my answer. I may not like my answer. I'm going TJ.
Are you?
He got a sack, but it was one of the 5 dropbacks or whatever that this kid had. I get that he's injured and maybe not 100%, but even an 80 or 90% Watt should be better than 90% of the league. I mean, and so if you are the one that's being targeted in the run game because they ran it to your side over and over and over again, you're not living up to the hype for something. Something is still off with you.
He doesn't look right.
And he just does not, I know he got his knee fixed, and that was supposed to help, but I know he's still wearing his arm thing. But it's like, where double...
Is it the ribs?
I know he's got a rib injury as well. And I mean, the poor guy's just, he's like the other, he's like JJ, where it just, unfortunately, injuries are going to happen, and whenever you're healthy, you have to dominate the game, and he does. But something's off, and people were targeting him, and typically, when you're double teamed or triple teamed, you still find a way to do it because you're TJ, and you just didn't. You were being manhandled by one guy today over and over and over again, and I'm hoping that he's ashamed of himself because I'm ashamed of him.
I know. He's like, he hasn't looked right in the pass rush since he's come back. He's looked okay against the run, but not in this game. But prior to this game, he's looked okay in the run. But yeah, bad against the pass rush, and then he got 1 sack in this game, but he just doesn't seem like a factor at all, and he just doesn't seem like TJ. And I don't know, something's got to be lingering there because this definitely doesn't seem like himself. Last facet, special teams. Let's just talk about them real quickly. Boz came back for this matchup. It was great to have him back.
Yep, got a kick blocked.
Had a freaking kick blocked.
I can't blame that one on him though.
Yeah,
that dude was 6'8" though.
Calais Campbell.
Yeah, Calais Campbell.
Giant.
Freaking, I don't know, what is he, 80 by this point?
Presley
crap.
Harvin the third, man.
Sucks. I there's no other way to put it. This dude blows.
16-yard punt, something like that at one point.
16-yard punt.
I just don't understand how you can have a job in the league. Like, I don't care if you drafted the guy. I don't care if you're paying him a lot of money. You've got to find a way to get a replacement.
Yep.
Nobody, as a professional football player, should be doing that at the punter position.
If you were a professional punter, I would rather have Pat McAfee, who has not punted in probably 4 years, go out and blow his hammy, because he would probably still, with a blown hammy, kick it 40 yards.
I know.
Like, it is stupid how bad this guy is playing, and we're just like, we're paying him. And if we cut him, we lose money, so we can't do that. We can't lose like $500,000. Are you crazy? The cap's like $400 billion now. Like, it's stupid. He had 3 punts for 111 yards, 37-yard average, with a long of 48. There is so many players in the league. I mean, look at the Ravens. The Ravens have a rookie punter from Penn State, and he outpunted him. I can bring it up. He outpunted him. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. 3 for 124 with a 41.3 average. Like, and one of them was inside the 20.
What was his average?
41.3.
Okay.
So 4.3 yards more, and he's a rookie. Like, he's still learning in the NFL. Like, There's guys, the New Orleans punter, I think he punted a 70-yarder this year. And
Jeez.
before what happened with Ariza when he was in the preseason, he punted like an 80-yarder. Like, there are so many people with a powerful leg that can boot it every single time or 90% of the time, and even when they miss it, they still get like a 50-yarder. That
Yeah. Well,
PH3
that's
is...
what I was going to say, too, is like speaking of Pat McAfee, like he said on his show, he likes PH3. He has a powerful leg. He's got to work on some stuff, like his consistency and stuff. Like, obviously, we know that, but it's just weird. Pat also said, like, it's hard to punt in Pittsburgh. Weather, cold balls, everything like that. But, man, it's just like...
Koch came in and punted so well.
I get that, but you have a guy... Yeah, you're also playing an opposing team that's kicking in the same stadium when they come to face you in your stadium, and they punt it just fine.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Koch, or Koch, or whatever his name was, before he retired for Baltimore, he punted very well against us.
All the time.
I feel like Gilliand, who I think is with the Giants now, that used to be the Browns punter, the Scottish Hammer, I think he punted very well. I don't know who the Bengals
Well, you never saw
is.
17-yard and 30-yard, 20-yard punts from them.
You never see that against us. Like, we never, ever, ever have a team that shanks a punt against us.
No.
Ever. We always...
Mostly because you have a team that if they have a punter like that, he's gone. Mm-hmm. He's gone. They don't...
I guarantee you that probably almost once a game this year, and over PH3's career with us, probably once a game, once every other game, we have probably given it to the opponent on their own 40 or the 50 or better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I would love to see how many times that's happened.
And I guarantee you, far and away, it blows past everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, then we go and we re-sign Jordan Berry, and I'm sure he would do the same thing. We have some sort of curse, and I'm not sure who has the voodoo doll. But please get rid of it.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Because it's just, it's rough, man.
It is rough, especially like when you've got an offense that, I mean, it's been progressively getting better, but geez, it's like when you've got an offense that's like so like stagnant sometimes, and we said that even last year with Ben, like offense would be stagnant sometimes. Like you've got to get all the field position, you got to win that field position battle. You got to get as much as real estate as you can. If you have a guy that's punting it less than 20 yards that is getting paid professionally, yeah. You've got it.
There's paid more than you and I combined.
There's no way you can justify keeping him.
Yep.
So with that being said, my grade's a flat F+ for that.
Wow, you're generous. I'm going F-.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
I was gonna go like D- and just stay with the D-, but man, you got me worked up. Freaking PH3.
Yeah. So D-, and F+, and you were D-.
D-, F-.
Minus.
Great game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess LVP would probably be PH3 for both of us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I feel like.
Absolutely, because Boz, that's not his fault.
No.
I'd blame that on the line more than anything, and PH3, when you average 37 yards, there's no excuse on that.
Right.
No excuse.
Right, yeah, it's ugly loss. I mean, this, I think technically, like mathematically, we're still in the hunt. Well, not we're out of the hunt, but I think there's still a mathematical way you could get in. Yeah, I think if I think they have to win out, and then they need a ton of help, which obviously is not on our minds. I'm just saying, like, that's still a possibility somehow.
Oh, yeah.
But you're sitting at what, 5-8 now. Ravens are now leading the division still.
9-4, and I believe Bengals are 8-5.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking they were a game or two behind.
Us and the Browns are 5-8.
Yeah, so.
No,
and we don't even know what the status of Kenny looks like for next game.
Yeah, we don't know if he's going to play against the Panthers or not. The Panthers with Darnold all of a sudden look
better,
decent, and they have nobody. So I mean, guess what they do well? Run the rock.
Great with Hubbard.
So they have Hubbard and somebody else, and they had somebody else in the game that I had no idea that scored an 8-yard touchdown today. And so they have a 3-man toting the rock and just kind of making Darnold do very minimum.
Sweet.
So I mean, we're kind of pushing the ball ahead a little bit, but
yeah, I know, but
it's just we figured out what we struggle with, and going into next week, it doesn't look much better because we have them. Then we have the Raiders. Guess what? They're good at running the ball. Then we have the Ravens again, who's good at running the ball, and then the Browns, who are good at running the ball to end the season. I mean, we literally, our worst stat right now is running the or giving up on the run, and rest of the teams can run us out the table just by running the ball.
Yeah, which is crazy because I thought I looked at our rankings, and I think we were worse against the pass.
Oh, yeah.
And better against the run.
Yep.
And then it looked different today because they were not really passing it. But yeah, it's just, ugh. I guess our next game is probably our best chance to stop the run because you would think the Raiders and Browns and Ravens run it better than
I would hope so.
Panthers. But all right, I'm sick of talking about this team. This left a bad taste in our mouths and bad loss. And like I said, you really just beat yourself more than you actually got beat in this game. You allowed 16 points, which you think would be enough to let you win, but everybody just didn't do their thing and looked really bad. Man, it looked poor.
Yep.
So off to Carolina for next week. So, yep. Woohoo! All right, man. I got nothing else to add. You got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
You good? Okay. Thanks for everybody listening in, supporting. As always, go Steelers.
Go Steelers.